doing a series of videos on ideas for your model railroad. This set covers how you can add a power plant as an industry on your model railroad to add different types of traffic, because you can have many different types of cars going in and out of the power plant, and it doesn't take very much room depending how you build it. The power plant's got a lot bigger. This is the Black Dog plant in south of Minneapolis. This was built in the late 40s, mid 50s. It's a lot bigger. And here's the boiler building with the chimneys and the turbine building, and then a big substation. As I said, in the late 40s, they used lattice work for the substations. And they also built smaller plants. This is a smaller plant built after World War II, but it has metal siding instead of brick, but still basically the same process. And there's a chimney on the roof, and here's the boiler, here's the turbine, and then coal is unloaded over here. And then, of course, as I said, this is the Sherburne County plant. It's huge, 750 megawatt units. And so a huge boiler, just a huge box in here. And the coal is back over here in a separate building. Here's the turbine generator building. And then they have a little transmission line. So these take a lot of room, obviously. And so the new plants, you have coal unloading here, some kind of maybe a rotary dumper, maybe a bottom dumper, conveyor belt coming up here, another building for ash and lime and all that stuff, big boiler house, turbine house. You have to have a door for the maintenance, and then the substation. And so coal cars go in here, and if you have a rotary dumper, you can use gondolas, the new gondolas. The auxiliary building would take covered hoppers full of ash out. They sell the ash, and they would put lime in for the scrubbers, because you have to scrub out the sulfur dioxide. And then tank cars bring in oil to start the boiler, and all sorts of chemicals to clean the water, other stuff like that. And so basically, and then over here you have a maintenance store for the turbine building, and then the substation. Now, one of the modelers is building the Alma plant, which was built in the 60s. It's obviously scaled down. I'm not sure, somebody makes this kit. I'm not exactly sure who it is, but it's a nice kit with tanks, oil tanks, and so then there's a maintenance store for the turbine, and then there's coal unloading. Here's a guy who had this is N scale, and he has a power plant here that's cogeneration. There's a big boiler and a couple of chimneys, and then a small turbine which generates power, and then the steam comes over here on this catwalk here, and this is a paper plant. And then the so he's loading probably burns wood chips, maybe wood chips and coal, something like that. They load the wood chips, they come up here and they burn them in the boiler, and then they also they're making paper here. This is the North Metro Club, the huge club up north of Minneapolis. And here they are building the Sherburne County plant as it is today. But you can see this huge, because they added it in the meantime. They added a 900 megawatt unit, and so they're doing the 3 units. Obviously compressed, because it's a model, and you don't have enough room. Later on, instead of steam engines, they were using small diesels. This is a General Electric diesel. I don't know if there's a model of one, but the utilities had relationship with GE, so they said, "Oh yeah, we'll buy one of your engines." Here's another plant. Here's the coal unloading building, and the Burlington Northern's bringing a train of cars in for the plant. The very modern plants have rotary dumpers, and so that's where they bring the whole coal train in here, and then they basically idle the engines, and then they have these things that pull there's a car mover that actually grabs a hold of the car and pulls the whole train along, and then it brakes right here. It puts a brake on, and so inside the rotary dumper, here's the loaded coal car. They don't even uncouple them, because they design them so they spin around the axis of the coupler. It's pretty ingenious. And so they, once the car is inside, they literally just turn the car over. And these are big dust collector ducks because obviously very dusty. And then back, it's the car comes back empty. So that's a rotary dumper. And then the conveyors go through all these various tunnels like this. And but they're huge, big. You'd have to have a whole basement just to do one power plant. They're huge power plants. So here's the rotary dumper building, and then it's conveyed to this transfer tower, and then they also put a big pile out here because they like to have about 3 weeks worth of coal on hand. And then it's conveyed here, and then it goes on into the plant. Now, back in the day, they used to use these metal chain conveyors, but now they have these really nice conveyor belt. So these are bottom dump cars going into the little power plant on the model railroad, because if they got a gondola, they wouldn't be able to do it. These are the modern bottom dump cars are these rapid discharge cars made by Ortner, and they the prototype, and they have a separate air supply, and they just throw a switch, and the whole bottom of the car opens. It's quite ingenious. So, looking at more modern turbine generators, this is what they looked like after World War II. Here's the turbine and the generator. And the exciter provides DC for the generator. And then in the 60s, they look like this. They were a couple hundred megawatts. In the 80s, they were like 700 megawatts. And then around 2000, they were coming out about 1,000 megawatts. So 900 to 1,000 megawatts, very advanced. Mm. So Walthers makes, as I mentioned, the substation is a modern one. This is the distribution voltage at like 13,000 volts. It's stepped up to 115,000 volts. Very nice substation. This guy is really, he's got all the wires connected. I don't know if he must not have a lot of spiders.
Or hands.
Yeah, I see the kids have been playing with the fence. They probably been jumping.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, and so then transmission lines, you can have towers. I think Walthers makes these nice towers that you can use. And the power poles are pretty easy. This is an H frame, obviously. And I used a little bit of forced perspective, because this is at HO, this is at TT, and this is about N scale up here.
Okay, that's cool.
So I don't know if you ever noticed that. Here's some power poles going through the yard. And just for fun, I put an N scale nuclear plant on top of the hills.
Right.
So one of the old ones, it's about 25 megawatts, like some of the experimental ones. So anyway, that is how to put a power plant on your model railroad. And if for the people on YouTube, if you have any questions about power plants, you can send me an email at mplsnorbay@gmail.com.